that we've done our offset off of the line, now we're going to do our elevation. Power curber sensors, they don't have an opening on this side with the shaft sticking out. So the only way to figure out where the center of your sensor is to measure your width of your sensor, divide it in half, and that is the center of your shaft. So if I take this level and I put it on your edge of pavement or your lip of gutter, and I measure up to this black line, right now we have 395 to that black line. Now we're shooting for an offset of 400, but the reason why we're setting it at 395 is to allow for the expansion of the concrete and to allow for the drop of the concrete. Now when the concrete comes out of the mold, it expands and it also settles a little bit. So we're giving that concrete an extra 5 mils or a 1/4 inch to settle. Now we need to make sure that our front sensor is set up the same as the back. So what we're going to do is, on a power curber built mold, they have these little lips that stick out of the mold. There's one on the back right here, there's one on the front. Now these are built parallel with the mold, so when the mold is sitting level on the ground, those tabs are the same measurement off of the ground on your mold. So to find out if our front sensor here is level with the back sensor, simply put the level on, we measure down. Now we got 5.5 inches or 140 millimeters. So now we make sure that we have the same over here. Now, because I run my sensors different than what power curber suggests, and I'm going to explain that for you in a minute, I don't need a level to figure out what my measurement is, because my sensor is almost right next to this. I can simply put the measuring tape right here, make sure I got 5.5 inches or 140 mils, in which my sensor is a little bit higher, so I'm going to simply adjust it. And there we have it, 5.5 millimeters. So that way when I put the machine on the string line, my machine's going to be parallel with the string line. What we don't want is we don't want a nice level string line in the front of your machine dipping down into the ground like this. You're not going to get a very nice finish on your concrete. Now, power curber tells you to put your sensor to the front of your trimmer right here. Like so. Now, this is fine for a straight run with no high points, no radiuses, nothing. But unfortunately, the operator cannot see this sensor. So when you're doing a radius, how am I able to adjust this sensor without dangerously leaning over the side of the machine to look at it? I'd have to have somebody standing here the whole time watching this sensor. Unfortunately, it's just not how it works. So the best way for you to run your sensor, for several reasons, is right in front of your mold, right behind the trimmer, and right close to this string line, this sensor. So we can set this up in a way where, yes, it's close to your trimmer, but it's not affecting your trimmer. I can still move my trimmer in and out. Nothing's in the way. It's not going to hit your sensor. Doesn't matter if your sensor comes off the line. It's not in the way of your trimmer. But most importantly, and again, I also run my steers a little bit different than what power curber suggests, is I have it close to the front steer. So that way when I'm going around an inside radius, I don't have to worry about my sensor ever coming off the line. It's going to follow my string line pin, or my sensor here. If I have my sensor in the front, and I have my sensor all the way over here, which is where power curber suggests, what do you think is going to happen to my sensor going around an inside radius or an outside radius? it's going to come off the line. It's going to create a nightmare for the operator and the finishers. Probably a big mess in the back as well. So by running your steering sensor at the center of your hopper, it keeps your grade and your steer as close as possible. But running your sensor this far forward will also ensure a far straighter product coming out of the rear of the machine. Now, you can run this sensor where Power Curver suggests, which is right here. Unfortunately, that is far away from your grade, so turning a radius, whether it's inside or outside, is going to create problems. Your sensor is going to come off the string line. But also, this is also going to decrease your speed when pouring, as you're going to have a lot more wobbles in your machine, in your product. Now, for the rear sensors, I also set them up differently. Power Curver suggests that sensor 2 here, which is your guides the front track when going around a radius, be placed in the center of the mold right here. Now, unfortunately, if you only have a one-track steer machine, you cannot turn a radius like that. It does not work, and we're going to demonstrate to you today why it does not work. And then perhaps you'll understand why the manual is wrong and why we're trying to simplify it for you a little bit.